I'm Junior Ranger Leif Silva, and today I'll be taking you on an epic adventure through time as we explore the Badlands of Northwestern Nebraska with stops to Agate Fossil Beds National Monument and Toadstool Geologic Park in the Oglala Grasslands. In my last episode, we finished up 3 days of travel along the pioneer trails in southern Nebraska and Wyoming. I completed 9 junior rangers, including the National Historic Trails Interpretive Center, the Wyoming Bureau of Land Management, the Oregon National Historic Trail, the California National Historic Trail, Guernsey State Park, Fort Laramie National Historic Site, and the Pony Express National Historic Trail. This morning we finished the Mormon National Historic Trail Junior Ranger by spending some time exploring Chimney Rock National Historic Site and Rebecca Winter's grave, a notable historic site along the Mormon Trail. At the Visitor Center in Scottsbluff National Monument, I saw the world's largest collection of watercolor paintings by National Park historian and artist William Henry Jackson. And after completing the Scottsbluff Junior Ranger, I enjoyed a lunchtime hike at the top of the bluff before leaving the pioneer trails behind and heading north to begin the next part of my epic 5-week adventure. Agate Fossil Beds National Monument is in the remote northwest corner of Nebraska. It is so remote that the park website warns travelers to fill up on gas and stock up on supplies in the town of Mitchell, which is 40 miles south, before heading north to the monument. For most of our drive, we saw nothing but flat, sprawling grassland, bellowing in the winds across the desolate plains. Nowhere else on our 5-week journey did we travel across a stretch of land without so much as a farmhouse or a farm animal on the horizon to break up the view. So you might be wondering, what makes this spot in the middle of nowhere so special that anyone would want to travel here? Although this area is nothing but badlands and prairies now, 20 million years ago, this was a lush tropical watering hole for prehistoric animals who fed off the grasses and plants that grew in nutrient-rich volcanic silt. Over time, as the Rocky Mountains continued to rise and block the flow of air and water from the west, the tropical lowlands began to dry out, and thousands of animals eventually died here during a great drought. Their fossilized remains captured beneath layers of sand and ash carried in by the wind. In 1889, James Cook, the rancher who owned these lands, found what he thought was a cow bone sticking out of a hill, but it wasn't a cow at all. Over the next 40 years, paleontologists, including James' son Harold, discovered a great bone bed. They cataloged bones from thousands of strange animals from the Miocene age, which began 23 million years ago. Some animals, like the Moropus, the Menoceras, and the Stenomylus, are distant relatives of modern animals like horses, rhinos, and camels. Others of these strange creatures are now extinct, like the ferocious bear dog, or the enormous Daeodon, which means terrible hound. It could crush the bones of other grassland animals in its giant teeth. As part of my junior ranger activities, I got to design my own prehistoric animal by drawing Latin root words out of a bag and putting them all together. My animal was called an Antello Chalico Moro, which means perfect gravel sloth. Ranger Beth put my perfect gravel sloth on display when I was done. Maybe you'll see it if you stop by. The paleocastor was a prehistoric beaver that dug spiral burrows into the ground called demon helix or devil's corkscrew. You can see the fossilized remains of these burrows in several different spots along one of two hiking trails at Agate fossil beds. The Demon Helix Trail is only 1 mile long and includes a climb up to the top of a bluff where you can see out over the dried out Niobrara River Valley. Though it is a short hike, there is no shade, and even at 5 p.m. when we hiked it, it was still close to 100 degrees, so be sure to bring water and sun protection. The other hike at Agate Fossil Beds is 2.7 miles and takes you through the two fossil hills to the historic excavation sites where the great bone beds were located. Agate Fossil Beds National Monument is one of over 266 national park areas that preserve fossils. I visited several of these sites throughout my 5-week trip, including Fossil Butte National Monument in Wyoming. At Fossil Butte, there is a massive prehistoric timeline that begins in the parking lot with the creation of the Earth and wraps around the building, arriving at the modern age of human civilization. The timeline helps visitors to understand when in time the various fossils at each national park site occurred in relation to each other. You can complete the Junior Paleontologist activity booklet at any of these sites to receive a special Paleontology Junior Ranger badge. Agate Fossil Beds National Monument is said to be 2 museums under one roof because in addition to the fossils, it also has an enormous collection of American Indian artifacts. Before settling on the Niobrara River, James Cook was a frontiersman, hunter, and scout who worked with and helped the Oglala and Cheyenne tribes. He developed a friendship with Chief Red Cloud. Red Cloud frequently visited Agate Springs Ranch and gifted to the Cook family many amazing handcrafted items, which now belong to the National Park Service and are on display here in the James H. Cook Gallery. After we finished 2 junior rangers at Agate Fossil Beds National Monument, we drove north to another unique paleontology site and our campground for the night at Toadstool Geological Park inside the Oglala National Grasslands. Oglala Grasslands is an area of nearly 95,000 acres of land in northwestern Nebraska that includes mixed grass prairies and badlands at the base of the Pine Ridge mountain range. The Oglala Grasslands have 3 different junior rangers you can complete: Pine Ridge District, Bessie Ranger District, and Hudson Maine Junior Archaeologist. Each junior ranger has a local guide who teaches you about plants, animals, geology, and the Native American who live in the grasslands. I even learned how to make wajapi, a traditional Lakota dish made from the chokecherries that grow in the grasslands. If you are looking for a spectacular view and up for a rather bumpy adventure, you'll find a small campground at Toadstool Geologic Park, about 18 miles down a long gravel road outside the town of Crawford. We arrived just as the sun was setting behind the Badlands, and it was beautiful. My mom said that this was one of her favorite campsites of the whole trip. We made new friends who traveled with us throughout South Dakota over the next week of our trip. Mac and his dad John are from Vermont, and they were on the final week of their own epic camper van adventure across the Midwest. Max taught me how to ride a bike while my mom set up our camp for the night. Mr. John cooked us up some venison cheddar sausages from his friend's farm in eastern Nebraska. Toadstool Geologic Park has 3 different hiking trails that lead from the campsite and take you on an exploration of unique geological structures that give this campsite its name. Like Agate fossil beds, this area is part of the Fossil Freeway because it was once an active watering hole for thousands of animals in prehistoric times. You might even find fossils along your hike. One of the trails takes you on a 3-mile hike to the Hudson Mang Educational Center, where a massive bison bone bed was discovered in 1954. The educational center is still closed to tours due to the pandemic, but interpretive signs along the hike and outside of the building that houses the bone bed can help you to complete the Junior Archaeologist booklet available on the Nebraska National Forest and Grassland website. My mom sent copies of my complete Junior Ranger booklets to the Nebraska National Forest and Grasslands Rangers once we got home from our trip, and they sent me my badges along with an awesome pack of Junior Ranger goodies in the mail. We completed 5 more Junior Rangers here in Northwestern Nebraska. That brings our trips total to 14. Next up, I'm headed with our new friends John and Max to the amazing Black Hills of South Dakota. And who knows, maybe I'll see you out there.